Welcome back, WrestleRanters, to WrestleRant edition number 65. I am, of course, your host, Bleacher, number 2, Graham GSM Matthews, coming off the heels of a hot summer, as well as a hot SummerSlam pay-per-view last night. A major win in my book. One of the best pay-per-views, at least since Over the Limit in May. Probably better than that. I think it was one of the best pay-per-views since WrestleMania 28 or Extreme Rules 2012. Both pay-per-views were excellent, and I believe this pay-per-view even met the standards or exceeded them. This was a great pay-per-view, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. I know a lot of people are hating on this pay-per-view for a variety of reasons. I don't understand why. There's a lot of smarks out there. As much as I hate to use the words marks and smarks, it does ring true in this case, because a lot of people are like, oh, I hated this pay-per-view, I hated the action, I hated the outcome, I hated all this other bullshit. Like, why? Why complain about something that happened so amazingly? There were tons of things that they could have done wrong, but they didn't. Overall, all the action was absolutely amazing. The outcomes were somewhat predictable, but sometimes predictability is a good thing. And in the cases that I got wrong, I got the pre-show match wrong and the main event wrong. I was so glad I was wrong, because those matches ended up being amazing as well. So I'm going to break it down right now for you. It's August 20th right now, so I probably won't upload this before Raw. Probably going to upload this either on the 21st on Tuesday or beyond that. So I won't be giving my thoughts on Raw tonight. I'll probably do that in either a separate video later in the week, or either, I don't know, you guys can just check out my thoughts on Raw probably later in the week on nextwrestlingweekly.com, so make sure to check that out in the Columnist Corner. But as far as SummerSlam goes, it's an awesome pay-per-view. As I just said, I'm going to break it down for you right now. I'm probably wondering why I'm wearing the European Championship yet again. I believe I wore this in 2 WrestleRants ago, but I'm wearing it again here tonight because it's going to be making a comeback, or quite possibly for the first time in 10 years in the WWE, since it's, if you don't count WWE 12, of course, in the form of Antonio Cesaro, because on the pre-show of SummerSlam, he defeated Santino Marella to win the United States Championship. Good match. I was not able to see it because I took off to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch a show. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I was unable to see this match. But from the final few minutes that I saw from it, it was a fine match. The comedy was kept down to a minimum, so I did like the scariest one that they took with this match. And Antonio Cesaro won the match clean, despite a distraction from Oxana at ringside. This is a good match. Antonio goes over clean and finally becomes United States champion by defeating Santino for the 3rd consecutive time. Really smart move here. Obviously, Santino wasn't doing anything with the United States Championship. I mean, Antonio Cesaro, it could do wonders for him. The belt could do wonders for Antonio, and Antonio could do wonders for the belt as well, since the belt hasn't been meant anything in probably a year since Dolph Ziggler held it, in my opinion. But yeah, a good way to kick off the show on a positive note. Now moving into the opening match of the actual card, Jericho-Ziggler. Jericho goes over via submission with the Lion Tamer. An awesome match, everything that I expected it to be. A lot of good chemistry between these guys. So Dolph Ziggler loses absolutely nothing here. I mean, besides the match. But I mean, as far as momentum goes, this guy's looked strong over the last couple of weeks. It's not like he was buried by Chris Jericho, a veteran. If you think about it, Jericho was, building up the point that he hasn't won, or Ziggler in this case. They were building up the point that Jericho hasn't won an important match since he came back. So having him win this match was logical, and I was glad that he won, because he needed a win in order to make himself look credible. So I was glad to see Jericho win. Dolph Ziggler will get his win either tonight on Raw or maybe at a later date, because Jericho will be leaving the company sooner rather than later. An excellent match. Loved everything about it, especially the finish as well. A lot of good action in this match. Moving on, Daniel Bryan defeated Kane. Good match. I suppose that a lot of people didn't really care about it. The feud has been lackluster over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of random. I was kind of shocked to see, I'm kind of shocked to not see, or the lack of thereof, on Charlie Sheen on the show. I'm not sure if that's a good thing that he wasn't on the show, or a bad thing that they didn't get mainstream coverage from it. But either way, they kept it down to the wrestling between Bryan and Kane. Good match. The fans were into Daniel Bryan's match this year. Obviously, last year, Bryan Wade Barrett. It was a good match, but the fans weren't into it because they weren't interacting with the crowd. Daniel Bryan, it's the complete opposite a year later. Completely focused on the crowd thereof, in Los Angeles. An awesome match between these two guys. Daniel Bryan goes over clean. How often do you see a heel go over clean, especially someone like Daniel Bryan who's been cheating since he turned heel? I was so glad to see that happen too, especially someone like Kane, who was usually protected. So yeah, I like this match, and Kane flipping out afterwards signals that he's either turning back heel again. I don't think he was ever faced to begin with. I think it's just a tweener. or they're just continuing this feud, which I hope not, because Bryan should move on to bigger and better things, not including Kane. So now moving on to the Intercontinental Championship match, The Miz defeated Rey Mysterio to retain his Intercontinental Championship successfully. This is a match that I wanted last year on SummerSlam's card. If you remember, they had a feud building up to last year's event. The match was pulled because Rey Mysterio had knee injuries, so they made it into a 6-man tag team match instead to kick off the show. So I was happy that they had this match this year. Solid match overall. The crowd was kind of flat into it for the first, probably the first half of the match, and I don't blame them. The rivalry wasn't really built up all that well. They had one match on SmackDown like 2 weeks ago, then another tag team match on SmackDown just this past week. So if you don't watch SmackDown, you probably didn't even know this match was happening, and I don't blame you for not reacting to it. But the final few minutes were exciting, very fun match. I probably would think that this is the end of their feud, even though it's only lasted about 2 weeks. But I'm glad that Miz retained here as a picked up a win since he successfully retained the title against Christian a few weeks ago on SmackDown. So good win for Miz overall. Sheamus Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is the third pay-per-view in a row that we were supposed to see this match. Obviously, we were supposed to see it at No Way Out, but it transformed into Sheamus versus Ziggler instead because due to Del Rio's injury. But yeah, the match itself was good. I don't know. I just don't like this feud at all. Del Rio bores me. Same thing with Sheamus, so pairing them together is not a good combo. I do appreciate the effort, and I do give them props for trying to build up the feud and making Del Rio a little more aggressive and Sheamus a little more interesting as a face. But it's just not doing it for me. I don't know. The action itself was good, don't get me wrong, but I just had no doubt in my mind that Sheamus was going to be successfully retaining this title here. I know Del Rio won't be winning the World Heavyweight Championship anytime soon, if at all. So this is kind of a wasted match in my opinion. I'd rather see it transform into a triple threat with Orton or Barrett or Ziggler or something, not Sheamus versus Del Rio for the 1000th time. But I didn't have a problem with the match itself until the finish when Del Rio attempted to cheat, but Sheamus ended up cheating instead. Then Del Rio's foot was on the rope, and the referee didn't notice it. He was completely oblivious to it. So it was kind of a capital punishment 2011 repeat with Christian and Orton instead, just this time with Sheamus and Del Rio. So it was a shitty finish to an otherwise good match. I just really don't want to see the feud continue, but I have a bad feeling that it will be. So that's the only aspect of this match that I didn't like. Besides that, it was a good match. I really want to see Sheamus move on to something better. Bigger and better opponents in the form of Wade Barrett, Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton. So hopefully we see that in coming weeks. Moving on to the WWE Tag Team Championship match. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth defeated Primetime Players to successfully retain their titles. Nothing much to say about this match. The action was fine for what it was. Kind of brief. I'm glad they incorporated the champions on the show, but who cares? I wanted the Primetime Players to win. They have good charisma. But even if they did win the titles, they probably wouldn't resurrect the division anyway, as I was originally anticipating. But it probably wouldn't event anything anyway. The crowd really isn't into their act without AEW alongside them. So I'm not exactly sure what to think about this match. Truth and Kingston don't do anything for me as WWE Tag Team Champions. They need to drop the belts now, and I think the Primetime Players would be perfect contenders for that. But, we'll have to see in coming weeks as to where they go from here. Now moving on to the WWE Championship match. CM Punk defeated both the Big Show and John Cena in a triple threat match. Great match. Really enjoyed this. Big Show, who I normally hate, I liked in this match. He worked hard, took a lot of good bumps, and he was made to look like an absolute beast, which he's usually best at. John Cena had a few good spots, as with Punk. So the chemistry between all three of these guys was, right on. Loved it. Really loved the move with CM Punk retaining the title yet again. Hopefully going to Royal Rumble as champion. Doubt it. I'm still going with my original prediction. With him losing the title at Night of Champions next month to John Cena. But that's a month away, so I won't complain about that yet. But this is a very good match. Glad to see CM Punk retain. The restart wasn't all that necessary, but I was glad, that Punk is still champion, and the action itself was very, very entertaining. Shortly after that, we had a concert, so to speak, from Kevin Rudolph performing the pay-per-view's theme entitled Don't Give Up. Now, I don't know if I've said this in any past WrestleRant videos, but I just hated the theme this year for SummerSlam. I do like Kevin Rudolph, but this song just didn't do anything for me. I didn't think it fit wrestling whatsoever. Just hearing it at the end of any vignettes or video packages for SummerSlam was completely unfitting at all. So this didn't do anything for me, but it was over. It was painless. Didn't do anything. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is the shittiest part of the show," and I could agree with you, but it was over in a few minutes. They had the divas on the stage to dance with them just to make it interesting. So I did appreciate that since they didn't have a match, or at least they had them on television. So, you know, it was painless. It was over in a few minutes. Moving on. Main event time, Brock Lesnar versus Triple H. The main event of the year. Not really. But, you know, as what WWE was kind of pointing out to be. Obviously, it wasn't a match of the year. It wasn't even close. Not as even good as Brock Lesnar Cena from Extreme Rules. But I will give them the benefit of the benefit. Oh, man, I'm botching my lines here tonight. I will give them the benefit of the doubt with the lackluster build-up and then making it interesting up until a month ago. I did somewhat enjoy this match. It was boring at times, but it was physical and it was intense for a majority of it. So I do appreciate that aspect of it. You know, besides that, I was really, really, really shocked to see Brock Lesnar win here, especially clean, especially via submission. So thank you, frickin' WWE Creative, for allowing Brock Lesnar to win like that. I was happy with it. I don't know why people are complaining about that. Brock Lesnar just fucking won. He beat the COO of the company. Brock Lesnar in storyline isn't even employed to WWE. How can you be pissed over this outcome of this match? But, you know, other than that, good match. Probably not as good as I expected it to be, but it wasn't terrible either. Had some good emotion to it. A little boring at times, but solid overall. And then following the match, we had Triple H just walk out without saying a word. They were kind of milking the reaction from the crowd. You know, not much to say about that. I was kind of intrigued to see where they go from here. I don't think Triple H is retiring. They kind of made it seem that way, but I highly doubt it. As I said on Twitter earlier today, they should have done it at WrestleMania 28, you know, end of an era, my ass. But I did appreciate the fact that they're trying to build upon things going forward between Brock Lesnar and Triple H, questioning Triple H's career is indeed over. So overall, I thought this is an excellent show. I don't know how anyone can think otherwise. Obviously, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but some people are just complaining about the just stupidest shit on the show. The concert, it was over in a few minutes, if that's what you're complaining about. And if that's what ruined the show for you, then I'm really, really sorry, because that's just embarrassing if the concert ruined the show for you. Both title matches are good, and except for in the case of the world title match, the ending was a bit, you know, shitty. But other than that, I thought everything else was good, as far as the action goes. The other title matches were good. The other non-title matches were excellent. So, you know what? I was thoroughly enjoyed throughout this entire show. As I said before, probably one of the better shows of the year, in the top 3, in my opinion. Same case from last year, SummerSlam 2011. The build-up to the show was shitty, but the show itself was awesome. Same thing with this year. The build-up was complete crap, but they ended up shining when it mattered most. So I'm really liking the direction that they're going from here. It left a lot of questions to be answered on tonight's Raw and going forward. You know, and another thing, it was the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam. It was hardly mentioned going into this event. They showed a brief video package at the start of the show, but they didn't really make a big deal about it when they really should have. Other than that, love the show. Really glad the direction that WWE is taking. Hopefully you tune in tonight on Raw. I mean, I'll probably be posting this on Tuesday anyway, but I'll give my Raw thoughts in another separate video, or on nextairawrestling.weebly.com for my full thoughts on Raw, SummerSlam, all that good stuff, as well as Bleacher Report as well. So make sure to check all the links and below. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter at @SAVE_GSM. If you have any questions for me, I'll possibly answer any questions in any future videos of WrestleRant. So thanks for joining me, and this is GSM signing out. Until next time, guys.